Informal Warfare here. I am J.L. Edwards. I want to start out this new, new series, that I want to get familiar with speaking to you guys in real time, or at least not necessarily live, but for day by day. But this new series will be called iReportDrudge. And basically, I just go through Drudge Report and click on some articles that I find interesting and basically read them to you. Give very minimal commentary. 9 times out of 10, you probably at least heard on the headline or maybe even read the article for yourself. But this is a way where I feel that I would like to connect with those who come across the channel or that you share the channel with, or just to see if you guys might find any of these things interesting as well. Please comment, please share, please like, please subscribe if that's your desire. Today is Tuesday, August 28th, 4:28 Mountain Standard. Obviously, red line on Drudge. Trump warns Facebook, Google, Twitter, bias, censorship, firestorm. Let's see. I have not read this article yet today. I've heard people report on it, but let's go ahead and click it. By CNBC, written by Ryan Brown, published 10 hours ago, updated 2 hours ago. Headline: Trump, Facebook, Twitter, Google are, quote, treading on very, very troubled territory, and they have to be careful, end quote. Bulletin points, 4 of them. First one: Trump said in a tweet that Google's search engine had rigged, quote, end quote, news story search results to show mostly bad stories about him and other conservatives. He later criticized Facebook and Twitter. He said Google is prioritizing left-leaning outlets and warns that the situation will be addressed, end quote. The president's comments come a week before Google, Facebook, and Twitter testified before Congress. Larry Kudlow, Trump's economic advisor, says the White House is looking into, end quote, whether Google suppresses positive articles about the president. Headed to the article. President Trump doubled down on threats against Facebook, Twitter, and Google Tuesday afternoon, saying the social platforms are, quote, treading on very, very troubled territory and they have to be careful, end quote. Quote, Google has really taken advantage of a lot of people, and I think that's a very serious thing, and it's a very serious change, end quote, Trump told reporters after a meeting with the president of FIFA. They better be careful because they can't do that to people, end quote. A Twitter spokesperson, when asked to respond to Trump's comments, pointed to previous statements and congressional testimony denying any form of conservative bias on the platform. A spokesperson for Facebook did not immediately return requests for comment. Trump earlier Tuesday accused Google of altering search results to prioritize negative coverage and left-leaning outlets and warned that the issue, quote, will be addressed, end quote. Trump said in a tweet that the tech giant's search engine had rigged news stories results to show mostly bad stories about him and other conservatives. Google search results for Trump news shows only the viewing reporting of fake news media, end quote, the president said. In other words, they have rigged for me and others, In other words, they have it rigged for me and others so that almost all stories and news is bad. Fake CNN is prominent. Republican/conservative and fair media is shut out, end quote. Trump added, illegal, 96% of results on Trump news are from national left-wing media. Very dangerous. Google and others suppressing voices of conservatives and hiding information in news. That is good. They are controlling what we can and cannot see. This is a very serious situation. Will be addressed, end quote. See, it's not me, man. The writing is an art form that is going down the drain, in my personal opinion. And for those that don't know, most reporting is done by robots, not physical human being robots, but algorithms typing and reporting the news to you. Continuing. Around 11 a.m. Eastern Time, Trump deleted the original tweets and reposted practically identical language. I'm looking at the tweets. Quote, when users type queries into Google search bar, our goal is to make sure they receive the most relevant answers in a matter of seconds, end quote, a Google spokesperson said in a statement Tuesday. Search is not used to set a political agenda, and we don't bias our results toward any political ideology. Every year, we issue hundreds of improvements to our algorithms to ensure they surface high-quality content in response to users' queries. We continually work to improve Google search, and we never rank search results to manipulate political sentiment, end quote. Trump also praised the performance of the NASDAQ Composite Index, which climbed above 8,000 points for the first time ever Monday. President Trump's tweet. NASDAQ has just gone above 8,000 for the first time in history. Google's parent company, Alphabet, is a key driver of the NASDAQ's performance. The firm's shares were under pressure following Trump's comments, down around 0.5%. Later Tuesday, Larry Kudlow, Trump's economic advisor, told Bloomberg that the White House is looking into whether Google suppressed positive articles about the president. Kudlow did not provide details on how the White House was looking into the matter. Some reports have suggested the president was referring to an unscientific report by conservative news website PJ Media, which claimed that 96% of Google search results for the word, quote, Trump showed left-leaning publications. The report places outlets including CNN, The Washington Post, and The Guardian on the left of the political spectrum, while placing the likes of Fox News, The New York Post, and the Daily Mail on the right. Now I will interject a little bit, seeing that a couple more paragraphs to read. I encourage you to search for yourself. Just put in Trump and see what it brings back. Go to Google. You don't even have to say Trump News. Just say Trump. And you can base the non-scientific study on your own results and who you're going to believe, Google executives or your lying eyes. That's just it. I challenge you. So continuing, big tech to face Congress. Trump's comments couldn't be more timely. Next week, Google, Facebook, and Twitter representatives will testify before Congress discussing censorship and election meddling. Not just the Russians, huh? The hearings mark the second time representatives from all the companies will be on Capitol Hill to address concerns of election interference. For Facebook, it will be the third following CEO Mark Zuckerberg's grilling, not under oath, sidebar, grilling earlier this year over the Cambridge Analytica scandal. Twitter chief executive Jack Dorsey and Facebook chief operating officer Sheryl Sandberg are among those confirmed to be attending the hearing. Facebook and Twitter have suspended hundreds of accounts ahead of the November midterm elections to avoid interference from foreign actors. Facebook last week said it had removed 652 pages, groups, and accounts linked to Iran over, quote, coordinated inauthentic behavior, end quote, targeting people in the U.S., the UK, Latin America, and the Middle East. As of Tuesday, Twitter has removed 770 accounts over, quote, coordinated manipulation, end quote, ahead of the midterms. Well, it seems to me, sidebar, that they are the ones that's meddling, and they are the ones that's manipulating, and they are the ones, obviously, after their recent meeting last week, coordinating to target voters in the U.S. ahead of the midterms. But that's just my personal opinion. Whatever. They had a meeting to meet on how they're going to censor the conservatives. Now, that's neither here nor there. Continuing with the article. Trump's comments as a whole appear to represent a broader view among conservative circles that digital platforms are censoring them. The president recently accused Twitter of shadow banning, allegedly limiting search results for prominent Republicans, and called the practice, quote, discriminatory and illegal, end quote. Twitter has denied the claims. And earlier this month, multiple tech companies, including Apple, Facebook, Google's YouTube, Pinterest, and Spotify, clamped down on content by Alex Jones, removing podcasts, pages, and other content. Let me just add, over 35,000 videos on YouTube. I'm not going to put right-wing conspiracy theorists, because you can make up your own assessment of the reporting. And yes, I do lean bias towards InfoWars and Alex Jones and the sacrifice that they make to bring us news that's not reported anywhere else. So whether you want to call that right-wing conspiracy theorist, that's an opinion, just like I have mine, and I view it very different. Being a young black male that's listened to Alex Jones for over 15 years. That's all I got to say about that. Tech companies said they removed Jones for violating policies related to hate speech and harassment. Quote, Apple does not tolerate hate speech, and we have clear guidelines that creators and developers must follow to ensure we provide a safe environment for all of our users, end quote, Apple said at the time. Some right-wing commentators have criticized the mass takedown of Jones' content, saying it amounted to censorship. So that's the first article we're going to get to. I would hope that didn't take me 12 minutes to read, but sorry if it was long. But that way, you guys get an assessment. I read it for you. And please comment on how you feel. Now, something else I found very interesting on Drudge was not related to the censorship. Let's see. I don't really want to talk about the code. I found this to be interesting. I might not read the whole thing, but oh wow, I'll come back for this one. Paper: Saudi Arabia's Barbaric plan to behead human rights activists. I think we should go there. This is by the New York Post, written by the Post editorial board, obviously, August 27, 2018. It's an editorial opinion. Let's be clear. Headline is Saudi Arabia's Barbaric plan to behead a human rights activist. And these are our, what's the word we want to use? These are our allies, Saudi Arabia, I guess, hey, whatever. Isra al-Gogam, Isra al-Gumgum has spent nearly 3 years in prison for her non-violent advocacy of greater rights for Saudi Arabia's Shiite minority, and now her government wants to execute her. It's barbaric. Gumgum, 29, is to be tried before the Saudi Terrorism Tribunal on charges solely related to peaceful human rights activism, according to a Human Rights Watch report. Along with 5 other Shiites, she faces beheading, quote, parentheses, the usual Saudi mode of execution, for fomenting protests in the Qatif area of Eastern Province. Quote, crimes that include chanting slogans hostile to the regime, filing protests, posting on social media, seeking to inflame public opinion, and providing moral support to rioters. Exercising what ought to be free speech, in other words, what was that? And none of it remotely related to terrorism, although the specialized criminal court has already sent other protesters to the execution. Jeez. This comes amid a supposed push to liberalize Saudi Arabia under Mohammed bin Salman, the crown prince who's running the kingdom. Is MBS, which is an acronym for Mohammed bin Salman, is MBS's control that thing, or does he approve? As Sarah Lee Whitson, HRW's Middle East director, that's Human Rights Watch, Middle East director puts it, quote, every day the Saudi monarchy's unrestrained despotism makes it harder for its public relations teams to spin the fairy tale of reform to allies and international business, end quote. The next hearing in the case is October 28th. If the prince is truly serious about reform, that date will bring the immediate release of Gumgum and her co-defendants. Now, I might say this, because, they're like, oh, women can drive now in Saudi Arabia, wear the hijab, and all that good stuff, man. I've studied Islam. I'll keep it at that. And I think it's a shame. It's a shame. the reason why they cut off the head is because they believe that you can't enter into paradise or heaven or whatever you want to classify that as headless. So you need your head to be in heaven. And so that's why they behead, to ensure basically that you never make it. Well, we'll end this session for now. I only did 2 articles. Today is the 28th of August. Time is now 4:45. Hope you enjoyed those 2 articles. I will be doing more articles and more of this iReportDrudge segments because it's interesting. I believe that a lot of people don't. They just read the headlines. If you're like me, you just read the headlines. But there's some of these things that I believe need a little more in-depth reading, although I don't agree with the sources always. I figured this is the least I could do for all of us. All right, world. Got some more articles, but I'll end this one for now.